Devante Crawford,
Yes.
brother, welcome to the XPAND studio.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
How are you?
I'm great. Almost godly, you could say.
This is your first time in Boise? Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And then you came with a good friend of mine, Colin.
Yes.
Colin Crawford, actually.
Yes.
Same last name.
Yes, another brilliant entity. All these great entities linking up, and creating more greatness.
Calling Colin a brilliant entity is hilarious to me because it describes him so well.
I honestly think it describes all parties involved, like to be honest, from what I've seen.
That's dope.
Actually, fate bringing us together, that's the only way I could even describe, these wow. Like everybody is like so powerful in their own right and what they do in their own perspective. So
yeah, man, it's cool when we do meet more people that we can actually legitimately resonate with. And they show us parts about ourselves that we appreciate because we appreciate it in them. And it really is a beautiful flow of just building relationship.
Exactly.
But you, my friend, are deep into martial arts.
Yes.
Which is something that means a whole lot to me as a person. And we are actually doing a pad session later, which I'm pretty pumped about, actually.
I don't think you're more pumped than me. I love doing what I do so much. And it's my ultimate passion. So yeah, to say I'm deep into martial arts is still like an understatement. Like it's my whole life. It's every fiber of my being. It's been me since a child. There's nothing I would rather do more than that. Like I'm not turning down a great fight over anything. It's my favorite drug. I love it more than pussy. Like, I feel like in a way the sport is my father. Like I got into this sport so early and I've been in it so long because my father wasn't going to be in my life at an early age. So my mom actually got me into martial arts at the age of 3 at, Gentle Palms, Tong Sudo. And, that ever since then, like I consecutively have trained in combat sports or like some form of combat training my entire life.
It's really beautiful, the different entry points people take to get into martial arts and then how long they stay from there. Whether it's your example, which is a extremely powerful example, or someone just going in because they're getting bullied and want to defend themselves, right? And then we all feel this beautiful force that's actually within the martial arts world, whether it's through the community itself or through your own personal development. It's incredible of your mother, man.
Oh yeah, and just mom, she's the true hero and superstar of my whole journey. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I had a lot of selfish intentions when I first started this, but now like life is all about family, love, peace, and happiness. And my mom is like responsible for all of that. Like now I just want to give her the world. Like I just want to make her happy, see her smile, make her proud. Like doing this was never about money. Like, and it's like it's my ultimate passion, but I would definitely just like give all my riches to all my fans and like my friends and my family and stuff like that. Like I try to literally embrace my name as well. So like those that don't know, I fight by combat God. Hate me if you want. Make sure you just send all your hate mail and all your views. Make sure you leave a comment under everything. Like it's cool.
The analytics, right?
Right. But what that means to me is also being pure. Like I feel like I go harder, even though a lot of guys they try to like paint me as a like not as serious a threat because of my name. Like people think it's a gimmick, but to me that's what I see in the mirror. That's what I represent. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm combat God. Before I actually took a fight, I had made my name off of violence and for training and like I come from like my history, my past, which I don't like. That's a story for another time, but like. It's like at the same time, that is me, like complete savagery, all of that. Like I didn't also get into this to necessarily be a nice person or a good guy. Like I'm a savage. Like me fighting is getting out my rage and all my depression and anger and hatred and loathsome, all my insecurity, all just every negative part of me, my perverseness, you feel me? It's all that. That's why I can be such a positive person outside of fighting, because I get to directly harness and channel this negative energy, in these actions. So fighting for me is almost like therapeutic. You feel me? Like I love every aspect of it. I love training. I love teaching other people. I love being taught. And then ultimately I love going in there and dismantling opponents. Like there's nothing like that. And when everything comes together for me, it is like a godlike feeling. Like imagine, just predicting everything. Imagine predicting you're winning, how you're going to win, and then you go in there and execute and you do it. And then, whether you're booed or whether you're cheered, just knowing that you did what you said you were going to do, knowing that you pretty much mind fucked this person. And it's like, I came in here and said that I was going to control your life, and then I came in here and took control over your life.
Do you meditate?
All the time.
How well do you use that in your preparation?
I do a lot, but see, I'm very dark. My meditation is very dark, so I find solace and peace and comfort in chaos. Like almost like and I'm just like me getting this maturity now. It's like cool, but I used to actually feel more. I would feel like normal. I would feel more comfortable fighting than I did in regular life, because like fighting and training, there wasn't much thinking or anything like that, or rather like worrying. There was always thinking, but not really worrying about anything. It's just a task and an obstacle, what's in front of me, and and just take it out. Like it's pretty much just kill, 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 kill.
That's a really So to explain like an action sport, it's very reactionary, to where like if you're snowboarding or BMX biking, like you don't have time to really think about what you're doing, or you're in a fight. Now, if you think about meditation or like golf, I've golfed my entire life. I played college golf. It's a very mental game in the aspect of you're not reacting to anything, you are initiating the whole thing. So it's a very different part of your brain that has to kind of be turned on and strengthened. Then you start to build both of those, and then you can find where each part of that awareness and perspective should be introduced and influenced during each like mini moment that slides by. You know what I mean? Because there's times to react and allow that instinctual presence in your body and your mind to overcome, and then time to pull back. And really, it's a really crazy play when you get into like the depth of how it influences your perspective. But
I've definitely taken that MMA. Like MMA is life. Like I said, it's every fiber of my being. So even that, like, and I don't even like well-rounded, but that aspect of like, of course, in MMA nowadays, you have to be greatly rounded. And I have applied that to life. Like, not just, like, of course, there's striking, right? And then like, there's the whole world of striking. And then there's grappling. Then there's the whole world of grappling. Like grappling is much deeper than just wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Striking is much more than just boxing and kickboxing. Like as soon as you go into these categories, now there's all these subcategories upon subcategories in these categories. And I want to learn it all. I want to, master it all. That's why I chose this, because it's like something I can never get bored with. It's an eternal and infinite goal. And I feel like, to be truly great and to pass perfection means to be infinite, because perfection itself is still even a level. It's a bar. Like, to be infinite means to be forever, means to be like the universe, which is kind of like, I have this mentality that everything means something, but you have to find that something that means everything to you. But everything separated means nothing, because we were all at the same time just sands and like, time, like just little specks of dust at the same time. But together we can all make something powerful to become something greater. But it takes you knowing your passion. It takes you knowing what you want and not wandering around as a soulless husk. Like I'm here before you because I had a plan. Like I know what I wanted and where I want to be and what I wanted to do since I was a kid. Like I'm not here by mistake. I've prepared for all of this, but I planned for none of it. So it's pretty much like the universe, when I was ready, brought all the opportunities that I needed to my feet. I didn't have to chase anything. And just to touch on that a bit, if you don't mind. But that's kind of how I got out here in the first place. So after I went 2-0, I took all, like, these last few fights that I got, I had all in, like, the last 6 months. It's been very hard for me to get fights. I finally started getting some traction. I said, as a whole, I'm 2-0 in boxing, 4-0 in kickboxing. I had my MMA debut. I knocked out a guy in Stellar Fights who was coming off a 15-second knockout, and he was like a Naga champion. Everybody was counting me out. And to fast forward with that, like, I knocked him out in the first round, and I got a call from Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach pretty much reached out like, hey, we're interested in bringing you in camp. Rampage and Congo have camps coming up. And that was actually in November of 2018. And I didn't capitalize on the opportunity because my mom was actually battling with cancer. At this point, my mom hadn't even gone to any of my fights. Like, she was like, just couldn't make it, was too weak, constantly throwing up from like all the the radiation treatments and stuff like that. And just like, that was just very hard. But, I pushed those fights out, got out there, and I waited for her to get a little better. And then I took one more kickboxing fight, and then I flew out when she was feeling a little better in like the end of January. So I think I got out there like January 28th, 29th. The very first thing I did when I showed up to the gym, like there was like a quick warm up, and then they was like, get your stuff on, like we're throwing you in there with Congo. And like, I was telling my mom the whole time, like I didn't even eat. Like I'm in Cali, touchdown, I hadn't eaten. I'm like, Mom, I'm like so excited and nervous. She's like, you get something to eat? I'm like, no, I can't. I'm just so nervous. Like, I don't want him to hit me with a body blow, I throw up or whatever. Like, because like I immediately went from the lowest level to the highest level. Even though Congo and all of them, they might be on the end of their careers just because of like, their age and whatnot. No disrespect to no guys, but it's
elite
they're
athletes.
still elite athletes. Like we're talking about guys that have shared the ring with Kane and legends, or or not on the better part of it, and legends or honorable mentions. And like there is a strength level difference. There's an athleticism difference. Experience. So all these questions in my head were going through, like, how do you match up? Like so it was almost like eagerness, excitement, and nervousness. It was everything balled into one. And then they were even counting me out. They were like, oh, like finally Congo has somebody to beat up on. And my mom's like, no, like my son's nobody's punching bag. Like, yeah. And then we had our first round and I dominated him. Like I was just as strong, I was just as fast, like I was just as technical, and like they even like their coaches had to pull me to the side, and I was going a little, but I was nervous that I didn't even realize it, and I was just so eager to see like I even let them hit me a couple times just to see like, all right, let me see what it, like shit, you might get knocked out, but let me see what this power is like let me see what this next level in competition is like, and I was right there with them, like every step of the way. And I say that with everybody out here, like, I can be this bold and I can say this because, like, I will fight anybody. I will stand on my words with anybody. And since I've been out here, I haven't been proven wrong about being the striker that I claim to be and about being, pretty much the hottest commodity and the greatest thing that you haven't heard about. And off my work with them and, the great opportunity that they provided for me to go and learn from them and study, because it wasn't just like I worked with him, like me just being there that week and showing up every day all day. Like I got to work with Mark Munoz, like I'm saying Rampage, like got to work with a bunch of guys, but things kind of got shaky because a lot of things in California and this next level are about black and white. Like I'm used to, like, even though I've trained everywhere on the East Coast, a lot of things were like family and knit. Like over here, it's not about that at all. It's about like, hey, am I getting paid off for you or am I not getting paid off for you? Like it doesn't matter how good you are. Like even now, like a promoter will easily take a guy that's not as good as another guy if he could sell more tickets. And that's, like I said, that's another reason why I'm here. It's hard for me to get traction in fights because guys won't fight me, but there will be two guys that won't fight me. They'll go fight each other instead of me, and all of a sudden I'm still left without a dance partner, or whatever. Like it's a lot of dumb politics at this level, and I get it.
100%.
I 100% get it. Like I am a very dangerous fight for very little pay and very little recognition. Like I have a little bit of notoriety and recognition for myself because of who I've been working with. But, like, I also get where I'm at, too. I'm a nobody, like, And that's why I'm like, hey, like, somebody needs to pay attention to me, find out who the fuck I am, so like we can get this ball rolling. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm not getting any younger, and I'm just, I'm sitting. I feel as though I'm a tactical genius and a master strategist in the body of a young juggernaut. Like, what else could you ask for? I have the mind of a vet, but I have no wear and tear on my body. So I feel like even now being undefeated and it's still relevantly in the infancy of my career, it's like the trajectory in which you can see me heading towards and the untapped potential. It's like I feel like you pretty much looking at gold, like diamonds right now. Just get me in there. I'm not asking for nothing else but for opponents that's going to show up. Like, I'm supposed to be on the East Coast right now, but my opponent who pulled out, mind you, he knew Nick of some Martinez BJJ or something. I had a fight lined up for Art of War. It was made in the beginning of the summer. It was a fight at 205. I had decided to take one more 205 belt just to see how I felt at the weight, and then shoot for a major Bellator or UFC debut contract. And then this guy pulls out. And it's like their excuses now. Like, nobody ever comes out and is like, hey, we're not ready, this, that, and the third. They're like, oh, their excuses, we're pulling out because we don't think he's going to make weight. And then when I show proof of me making weight, then their excuse goes to, oh, we don't think he's going to fly from California. And then I get a call back from the promoter like, hey, they're just not interested in the fight no more. What do you mean they're not interested in the fight no more? We already have a bout agreement. Like, I've already sold tickets. What are you saying? And that's what bothers me the most, my supporters, is because I do have people that fly out. I have people that do recognize hey, and they're willing to go wherever I go. So it's it's not the easiest thing, taking time out and, having, your family and just people showing up and buying their money. And, a lot of these tickets are non-refundable. At that level, they do the whole card subject to change shit. So my family, nobody here is famous. My family, my family and friends showed up to see me, not whoever else is on the card that night. So you're not just screwing me, you're screwing everybody involved. But promoters, they're never going to put themselves in a situation to lose. Everything for them is win-win. So they're going to make sure they still get their card. I seen Ivan Botanich, and shout out and congratulations to him of IB Strong. He's also another AKA guy. And I'm gonna get to that in a second, because I was talking so much about Huntington Beach, I just forgot it, but I'm gonna get to them. But yeah, he just successfully made his Bellator debut, and he won against a guy named D. I know him as D Compton on IG. I've trained with both those guys, but they're both sick. Congratulations to both them. And Ivan won, and he definitely deserved it. I was at his fight before that. I won't mention the promotion, but they did some shady shit where he was the main event, and his opponent didn't have medicals, but they didn't tell him till it was time for him to fight. He's the main event. You don't tell the main event that your opponent doesn't have medicals until the day of the fight. Come on now, they used his name to sell the card. He's in the back warming up. He shouldn't even be at the arena unless he wants to. This man is still putting in work, knowing that he's not going to, not knowing that he's going to fight, but the promoter knows that. But the promotion knows that. But his opponent knows that. And it's bullshit like that it's wow, how do you get that time back off your life? The most important thing is time. How, And then on top of that, not to mention, it's now I got to fight with the promoter over ticket sales, because now I'm not getting what I was promised. And it's you just used my name to sell the card out. I did all this to promote and sell the card. Had people, I showed up to see my bro. I don't just show up for people. I showed up to specifically see him, and I was bummed when he didn't. And it's to hear the reason, really, what type of show are y'all running? But that's the promoter for you, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Well, that seems to be just MMA until you get to the higher levels. Mm-hmm. So I fought Muay Thai, but a good friend of mine, Anthony Stevens, fought mixed martial arts for I think 5 years, and he had multiple experiences like that, man. It's so interesting when you get into these lower levels or low pro divisions and promotions, because dude, there was one fight where someone's opponent left and his opponent left, and there was this like 15 pound weight difference, and my buddy's opponent that he ended up fighting was like 15-0. Just something that was so ridiculously that they tried to bond together because it was what was going to work for the moment, and these pieces fell through, and they didn't care about like the actual reasons why you should be caring about two people competing in physical combat. It's so fascinating, and it's so unfortunate for amateurs and people who are really good, or someone who's young, 18, he's fighting someone who's 30 years old in a very like one of the beginning fights, and that 30-year-old might have 20 plus years of experience, dude.
No, bro, and that's why I'm not mad. I'm not mad at people ducking, because like that's what usually happens. Like when people because like now that I've gotten into social media, which was how I even got all these opportunities, like like I said, I've been training and fighting and doing, things my whole life, but they didn't mean anything until they meant something to the world. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you could throw the best punches and kicks in the world. The punches and kicks don't make you a star. Like, you can be the best puncher and kicker in the world and be in a closet. What does it mean if nobody knows? Doesn't mean if nobody knows your name or who you are. Like, that's another thing. Fighters don't get how to promote themselves neither, and how to get attention. That's one thing I do know how to do, and that's one thing, like, one reason why I've gotten as far as I have, because I am money. I am dollar signs. I do what other fighters don't do. I don't mind promoting the card and bringing a different swag and different energy to the game. Like, a lot of these guys, they're so just born. They're the same thing. And it's like, how many humble, quiet MMA guys do we have? They're a dime a dozen. Like, everybody, like, that's another thing too. Like, I love cocky people as much as I love humble people. Like, everybody in this world has a place to play. Like, even if you want to go by the Bible, like, people forget that God is dark and light, that he's good and evil. That, like, to be truly balanced, like, it takes everything. Everything is a cycle. You can't have light without the dark. You can't have good without the bad. Like, to be balanced truly means to be light and dark. You got to have both. So, you feel me? You can't just have a bunch of humble fighters that are like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to show up and fight the best fight, and like let my fist do all the talking. Respect it. Cool. I love you. I can't wait to see you fight. And I love that guy that's like, hey, fuck you all. Like, man, you're beneath me. I'm superior. You're inferior. Like, I'm the shit. You feel me? And the urine. Like, boom. Beat me or shut the fuck up. I love that guy too. Like, how can you not? Everybody has their place to fit in, and too many people get hung up on their opinions and how they feel about this person. Like, because it would throw people, if you actually seen me, like, most people, they wouldn't even believe what I do for other people, or how, like, I help, or how I try to influence, or other, like, projects I have on helping people. But that's because of, like, you automatically would think, like, hey, if this guy seems like he has a little bit more ego than the average person, or his name is Combat God, he must be selfish, he must be an asshole. And there's nothing like that at all. That's just how I feel. That's just what I think of myself. I think of myself as a young king, a young God. You feel me? Under a God, I do believe in a higher power that drives, and that just drives everything and has everything moving. But I definitely feel like that. I don't feel like I'm a normal entity in any sense of the matter, and I don't believe that any of us are truly. I just feel like it's reaching a certain, like, frequency and vibration with yourself and who you're around, and, like, evolving to a point where you can get, like, this God vision of, like, what's really going on, the actual bigger picture. And, like, and I get that now, and that's why I'm here. And like I said, that's why even from the beginning, like, when I got into this, it was all about me and just, like, my personal conquest and me conquering and just being emotionless and heartless, and just being as savage as possible to be the best monster I could be in the cage. And, that was toxic. It started to change me. I started to push a lot of people away like that, because it disheartened me, like, and it kind of made me numb to just a lot of things outside of, like, fighting.
Well, and we also evolved through those kinds of perspectives. Like, I started to work out when I was younger because I was the smallest person around. So it was a way for me to kind of get bigger, and then that desire no longer suited me. So then you can move on and, you can develop internally
and
through
I'm
that.
willing to bet it's because you reached a level of comfort with yourself. Like I tell, so like, don't get, hey, bro, that's awesome. Insecurity is one of the best motivators. It is, bro, to drive a man to greatness. I'm like a 13-year-old schoolgirl, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm insecure about everything, but that shit drives me. It makes me work harder. Like, and
It's just part of it, though.
Exactly. And I'm comfortable with myself to admit that. Like, like there are guys that admit that, you feel me, won't even admit they have insecurities, but it's like everybody does, no matter what it is. Like, everybody has a second thought about this or that, or this could be better. And, I take those thoughts and I use it as motivation to do better. Like, just do it then. Like, just work on it. And it's just amazing you touched on that, because that's like, it shows your growth. Like, you just show, like, in a lot of ways, you just, like, I know you get it. And that's what I'm saying about, finding people on the same vibration and frequency. I can only imagine what you had. Even that was like so small, but so massive to me, because I know what it takes and how you have to mature to reach that level of self-reflection. And then for you to be like, I don't even feel that way no more. Like, I felt like a weight was like lifted when you said that, like, wow, like, yes, I know that feeling. Like, I know feeling like, shit, I got to do this to have that. But it's like, I don't need that. I'm already great. I know my self-value. Like, I don't need to work towards that or need to have this to be myself, to love myself.
Yeah, they're almost like kickstarts. They get the machine rolling, but when you realize that it's good for a small portion of your journey, then you can move on to those deeper meanings that actually make you who you are.
Oh, yeah.
And you're explaining, bro, which I resonate so deeply with, the aspect of like truly becoming the person that you are becoming and being authentic and being genuine, because when you embody that form of energy or frequency, that radiates outward and inward. Therefore, you're able to be around people who resonate with that form of frequency, which everything that we think and do and are and be and who we're around and the environments we're in builds our frequency. You start to get rid of the shit that doesn't serve you becoming a more pure, better human being. Then you start to find people that you can actually legitimately connect with. But that's a hard process because you have to be vulnerable. You have to be okay with, right?
And then you're hitting the key points. So in vulnerability lies true strength. A person that can be vulnerable is the most powerful person in the room. And I've mastered that. And I feel like that's my biggest asset in fighting, because being comfortable being vulnerable means being comfortable being uncomfortable on some level. And that's infinite. Like that's lit. Like, I'll beat guys off of just knowing they're uncomfortable and just, control, just staying calm. Just knowing. Like, I know what you're going through, and I know what you're going through because I'm real enough to self-reflect and know that I'm going through the same thing.
Bro, that is the freaking truth right there. That holds so much depth and value.
That's how I got over my depression. That's how I get over, like, once you realize, like, hey, you're not the only person that goes through what you go through. You're not the only person hurting. You're not the only person that thinks the way you think. You're actually sharing this feeling with billions of other people. But people don't share or express themselves with other people because they don't feel comfortable being vulnerable. So nobody ever shares this stuff out loud. Nobody ever shares these deep personal thoughts because they don't feel comfortable being uncomfortable. They don't know how to just be vulnerable. And that's where MMA has helped me. I mean, I can be so vulnerable and so comfortable because I know I'm a badass. Like, I don't care if you think, you feel me? I don't care about any embarrassing thing. Nah, truly. Like, I have a family that loves me unconditionally, and I know I'm a badass. I don't got to prove my masculinity to nobody or no, like, I'm a man, and that was my insecurity. I have built this great talent and all of this stuff and this career off of like almost insecurity. Like, just wanting to, like, of course wanting to be great, but just like off of like, it was, just like off of doubters. Like, all the negative emotions definitely played more into, like, me doing what I do than positive ones. So like that negative reinforcement works great for me. It's almost like when I compare it to fuel, and like certain emotions for fighting are just like rage is like, I'm gonna eat it all up. Like, and you get different styles out of me. Like because it's like I can do so much. So you'll like different moods. You'll get like completely different like styles. But yeah, it's like but to bring it all together, like yeah, that's like how like eventually I was able to like turn this pain into power, so to speak. if I'm quoting Colin, but yeah, turning this pain into power by just like recognizing like you're hurting, turn it into something, get it out in some way, and yeah, and MMA is just like, and not just MMA, like I said, I've been doing it my whole life, but it's like one of them things like, and even now it's like hard to explain, but like, have you ever enjoyed just being like sad? Have you ever enjoyed just like a good cry, or enjoyed an emotion? Like that's not necessarily like happy. Like, have you ever enjoyed being mad? Like, just like, I'm gonna be mad and like, just get this out. Like, not necessarily mean push people away, but enjoy, just let that emotion resonate with you and just sit with it.
Absolutely.
Because that's really, I feel like, as more than anything else, that's what we're here for feelings. That's why people want love and want everything. It's a feeling. Like, you want that so bad. But there are other emotions that have different effects and release different like
pieces of wisdom and lessons and perspective
that
bro.
Unlock part of you. Like, bro,
Dude.
Me falling in love was just as powerful as, if not more. No. Me falling in love was nothing compared to me getting a broken heart. Like they both taught me so much. Like it was like now, like then I couldn't. Then but I took time, was able to resonate with everything, was able to sit, and now it's like I'm glad I got both of them. Like at first it was just like, went from like love was the best, love sucks, this broken heart is like screw everything, and and now it's just like it all had to happen. And like, of course, I'm paraphrasing and whatnot. I could go in the deeper, but I want to keep it on this. And but yeah, that is just like, you got to take the good with the bad. I don't like. So I'm to what I'm trying to say on that now is more like, even now, I don't look at days as good or bad. I don't look at things as good or bad. I look at them as what is, living in that moment, understanding and just harnessing that feeling of that moment. And just, letting it resonate with me and what it means to me. Like I'll do certain things in meditation sometimes. Like I'll try to control my emotions with memories to activate certain things or to have control over certain things. Like I can use my memories and my mind to activate my adrenaline. Like I have control over my adrenaline. Like in a fight, like how, and I could how a high level athlete he knows how to like control his heart rate and his breathing and all of that. Like I can now do all of that, but with my adrenaline. And, it's just off of activating certain memories and thoughts that will trigger emotions that will release what I was getting to, like certain hormones and stuff like that in your body. And you can get to a point where you can control what's going on inside of your body.
Absolutely. 1,400% accurate. And, bro, so first of all, thank you for sharing all this, because it really does show and paint a picture on who you are internally. Not just who you are presented to be or who people see you as. When we start to actually share these deeper parts of ourselves, we get to actually bond and relate to people. And I've been really recognizing in my own self recently how perspective and how I even see something changes my chemical output. If I see something and, this piece of shit does this, or whatever unfortunate negative emotion, that's literally going to change my internal chemical output. Now, if I think about it as building compassion for this person, or something that's a little more heart-centered or healthier, that literally change how I feel internally.
Exactly.
And there's so much freaking empowerment and wisdom in feeling your emotions, bro.
Yes.
And when you are tested like you are in a freaking fight against someone who could like legitimately hurt you as a person, we unlock so much emotion. That's where experience is substantially important in competition.
Oh yeah, and that roller coaster breaks a lot of guys.
It
But
does.
I love it. Like, and that's been like my biggest like asset is like I love the chaos. I find peace in the chaos. Like I make home in it. I sit in that furnace and it's just I'm like, feed it to me. And I know how to loose. I just know how to loose everything. Like I get in this mode where nothing matters. Like right before the fight, I kind of like MK Ultra myself. Like nothing matters. The pain you feel doesn't matter. Like nothing matters. Just go out there and have fun. Like, but you know, don't even think about the world or anything else. Just you know, that's just kind of like the mode I go into. But before I feel everything. Like and for me, everything's backwards, and I've always been wired backwards. I feel my emotions and I feel the roller coaster early on, but as I get closer to the fight, I get no nerves. So I have nerves all the way out, like back when the fight, like, you know, like let's say like if it's a month or so training camp, to like 2, you know, whatever, however many weeks, like I'm going to have my nerves in the beginning, like through the training camp. But as the fight gets closer and I'm getting in better shape and, you know, and I've done all my rounds, because that's one thing, I won't allow myself to not be prepared. I never take anybody lightly. So like with that, you know, it's like with preparation, by the time I'm get there, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready to take this guy out. Like it's nothing. I'm talking trash and like promote, you know, like I'm just in my zone.
For real. with speeches or anything. It's such a similar framework that goes with you wherever you go. That's why you're talking about, you know, martial arts has built you into a person that behaves a certain way in the freaking world. It's enormous. It's cross-transferred. And I wonder, bro, if you are able to reach the level of depth that you are with competition and yourself as a person is because you emphasize something more broad than just a win or a loss.
Oh yeah,
you go into the emotion,
definitely.
right?
I've been telling Colin that like people look at MMA as a whole. This is not a team sport. So every individual fighter is MMA. Every individual boxer is boxing. Because you're not buying into the whole brand of boxing. You're buying into this boxer's brand. He is his sport. Fuck everybody else. He is his sport. He is him. He is the one. Like in my mind, I am MMA. Like you're not buying into all these other guys' brands of MMA. You're buying into Combat God's brand of MMA. Like, and that's what it is, straight up and down. You are your own individual. Whereas, like, of course, like if you think of any team sport, okay, you have to think of a team. You have to think of them. Like there are some fighters you think of and the first thing that comes up is the promotion they're with, but that's it. Or maybe their team, like as far as who they trained with, but it's still you think of that individual person as that individual person. That's why I love what's going on with Kobe Covington. Just to like look how boring MMA could be. And by him being himself, like even though it's with his teammates, he's putting money in people's pockets by being different. You know, by being himself, whatever it is. Like, you know, I respect everything that he's doing. And like, it's like, what else would we be talking about? What else is really going on? Like that, he's got all like 4 guys from America top team that are in the top 10. Like he's got all of them talking, like all of the clickbait, like, oh, there might be a brawl when we go back to the gym. Like it's probably not even gonna be nothing that crazy, but it's good drama. It's something for the sport to talk about. And it's his personal brand. Like he's securing a fan base. See, fighters don't even think about this type of stuff. Fighters don't think about the promoter. I think about pleasing the promoter because I know that's who that's the person who you need the attention of, and who you know that says does anything. Like as a fighter, you need the promoter. If you don't need anybody else, you need the promoter, because who else is gonna get you fights? Who else is gonna do anything for you? And my bad, I lost track for a second.
That's cool.
But just like, you know, being yourself is just so important, and knowing your demographic. Like I know my demographic. I know who I would appeal to, even though I'm open and I'm like very fluid and I think like I could appeal to every like different crowds. I know there are certain crowds that I'm going to specifically appeal to more. And I see that in Kobe, like, you know, like even with the whole MAGA thing, the Donald Trump thing, like that's an untapped kind of like demographic that when you think about it, only he could touch, or like he was smart enough to touch it in the way that he's doing it. Because the Trumps obviously support him now. I knew about Kobe and Kamaru Usman and all these guys before they even were in the UFC. Like, you know, like back when they were training, had just 10,000 followers and they were nobodies. Like, I was same thing with Kobe. I remember when he had 30,000, you know, followers, you know, virtually a nobody, new guy in the UFC. Now these guys have belts and are champions and are this, that, and the third. And it's like their characters are always what it's been, but it's blown up now. They're, you know, and it's like me just because like I don't just pay attention to the stars. Like I'm hardcore, so I know about the up and comers that aren't even nowhere close to being in the UFC because I'm one of those guys. I hope I know these guys are paying attention to me. Like that's why I'm out here. Like there's so many UFC fighters that's been beefing with me or been supporting me. Like, and just with all the drama I've been through and alone, like it's like I know I'm on the radar. But it's like, you know, now we're at this point where like that's kind of the problem. Like people do know, you know, you're a dangerous fight, but you're not a profitable fight right now. So it's like I gotta find some brave or dumb, equally brave and dumb fighter that's like, yeah, like I want a piece of this guy. And it's like, hey man, I'm not ducking no action, sign the contract. But let me because I know we jumping all around. But so how I actually met Colin. So off my work from Huntington Beach, I started getting a lot of offers. So people were like interested of like, you know, different gyms because King's MMA is down from their gym. They had expressed interest. And a guy named Justin Lyons, the owner of Real Fuel, shout out to Real Fuel, the #1 meal prep in the Silicon Valley. He is a sponsor for a lot of the AKA guys and the nutritionist and like their weight cut guy. And he had reached out to me and I told him my stats and whatnot and what I was doing out here. And he was like, bro, I think you could help the team, bro. Like, he was like, let me call Hav. He was like, let me message Hav. And he was like, you know, he got right back to me. Hav hit me up. He was like, bro, he's interested in seeing what you got. Like, when can you get out here? And I'm like, damn, bro, like I can't just leave Huntington Beach like that. Like these guys have been awesome to me. And I was like, you know, I'm not like that. Like it was hard. Like even knowing like, yo, like I'm like, I'll definitely like come, but I'm like, damn, I don't know if I can commit to y'all because I'm still like on the fence about committing to this gym. And like I'm like, either way, like I'm here for Congo right now. So I'm like, ain't nothing moving, nothing doing nothing until like, you know, I'm specifically here for him. But Hav is also a very busy man too. So like this was like, hey, like this is one of my opportunities. Like, bro, like you get it or you may not, you know, may not come around again. Like just cause off the busyness. Like nothing was really going on right now. Daniel Cormier wasn't in camp. Khabib wasn't in camp. Like nobody was in camp. So it was pretty much like, hey, like he has time to come check you out. Like you better do that. So I was like, all right, at least give me a week. But make a long story short, you know, I finish up with camp and I get back there. Somehow Huntington Beach found out and they were a bit sour about that. I guess they, you know, like AKA grabs up all the best talent. So they're a little bit sad. We've hashed things out since, but like, yeah, so I wound up capitalizing and going and taking this trip down there. And mind you, I'm still skipping stuff. So like, cause there's little details that matter because like and I'm just thinking back, like I came out here with a round trip ticket. I wasn't even supposed to stay out here. I was looking into shelters just to stay out here and train, just so I could train with the best. Just cause I was that hungry. Like nobody wanted to fight me from the East Coast. Like I had tons of fighters dropping out. Nothing was happening. So like my mom felt better. You know, like I said, came out here with me to make sure these opportunities were real and like. You know, that was like the hardest time I kind of had to even like separate from my mom. Just not that I hadn't before, but just like, you know, knowing her ailment, what she was going through and just like, I can't come back with you. Like I have more to accomplish out here. So she's going back to Delaware, you know, flying back to the East Coast where I should be. And I'm heading up north to San Jose. Like I can't come with you. And then I was just like, God, God's not done with me yet. Like, the universe not done with me yet. I feel like I have a lot more to do out here. And, you know, I'm just like, I love you. And I see you when I see you. So, yeah, I went down there. And I was once again a little bit nervous because they was like, you know, talk about putting me through the ringer and this, that, the third, and like be ready to like da 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 da. Like, so I showed up an hour early, and I'm hitting the bags. I didn't even see how. Said I did Mr. Win. Oh, and I'm still so Lions. My bad, bro, because I've stopped on Lions. So Lions, he completely accommodated me. Like, took me into his home. Like, all this stuff, like, picked me up and like, yeah, like, they were awesome. It was on some, like, he was just excited. Like, damn, I can't wait to see, like, like, how everything works out. And my mindset, I'm just being real humble. I know, like, from working, I felt like knowing my strength and attributes. I'm like, hey, even if I'm not the most technical, I know from my work at Huntington Beach, I know athletically, I can keep up with anybody because Congo's a physical specimen unlike any other. And, like, you know, I had watched as coaches would tell other people, like, yo, you can't spar with Congo today. Like, you haven't been putting in the work. You're not in shape enough, or you're not. So, like, that was a real feather in my cap. So, like, I didn't go down there with any chip on my shoulder, but it wasn't the same nervousness. Like, I'm just like, damn, I hope I'm good enough to help these guys. Like, I just hope I'm good enough in any way to just help the team out. Like, and that's what I was. Anytime anybody needed me for rounds, I was there. I actually was even teaching kickboxing and boxing class, like, back to back there. And as fast as it all came was as fast as it all went.
Do you, actually cutting it close to the end, do you have any remaining words, anything that you like to share, man, on your journey, where you're going, what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Always gratitude first. So I would definitely like to emphasize my thanks and gratitude to Blessionaire, who is owned by Adrian Banks, and you follow him at CEO_ish, who is also my publicist. Like, I wouldn't be here without him. He's an amazing, great guy, phenomenal, told me everything I know. It's opened up, like, you know, my mind into the business world and why I can secure these sponsorships and manage myself and all of that. And then Culinary Corner Bistro, that is the other chef that sponsors me, and his restaurant and his family are amazing. They take great care of me. And they're the best vegan pho omnivore restaurant in Silicon Valley. And like I said, Real Fuel again. Another shout out to Real Fuel and Justin Lyons, the #1 meal prep in Silicon Valley. And y'all keep me all well fed and well energized and all this fuel, man. I love it. I love all y'all. Fastest way to my heart is through my stomach, and y'all keep me well fed. I definitely would like to thank Screen Printers, Downtown Screen Printers, and Local Color for all my design work and for all your very hard work just behind the scenes that you do for me and my apparel and things that I haven't even released yet. And you guys really, y'all put in so much work for me, and that's just very much appreciated. And certainly that I have to thank my mother and my family. Like, y'all are my backbone and my support. Like, I wouldn't even want to do this without y'all. I wouldn't even want to do this if y'all weren't here. Like, this whole journey is so much fun and so exciting because I have all of y'all in my life. And I'm able to endure all this craziness because of the support and the love that you all constantly give me. And that's much appreciated. And other than that, I would just like to drop, I am launching 2 businesses. One I will give a hint to. It is I'll give a little more info to. It's a 501c called Hurt People. And I'll be bringing not just awareness, but assistance to people that pretty much of like that have a that like struggle with like mental illnesses. I'm trying to keep it open because it also has to do with trauma as well. Like, you know, stopping that reoccurring theme of trauma, which is like why hurt people, because it's really just trauma that has happened to people that they're hurting other people. So it's just generational trauma that's being passed down, and it's a curse, and I want to help break that chain. And I do, I'll have like therapists and psychologists and, people with their own practices and professionals that will be able to offer this, assistance. But that's just a little hint. That's just something I'm working on. Like, I'm working on a lot of projects. I do a lot in between my time of not fighting. So it's like, yeah, like if I'm not as active or I don't keep up with you, it's just because like I also don't limit myself. So like I said, being greatly rounded. So if I'm not trying to be, if I'm not in the gym learning something new there, then I'm in the business world, or I'm in some other world, or I'm collaborating with some other type of art and bringing all these arts together.
Something that's really helped me as a person is that exact approach to life, because I understand that my hands require a different form of focus than my kicks do, or my knees or my elbows or anything, or grappling or clinch. So to understand that you can work on something, pull back from that, work on something else, and then fuse them together eventually, it's
so dope.
Very beautiful.
It's so dope. Exactly.
It is dope. You're fucking cool, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I wish we had more time. I was like, oh, jeez. It was like, you were like, oh, don't be quiet. Then it's like, oh my God, shut up, Evo, stop talking. Like,
no, man, it was the way it should have been, for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you, bro. It was a pleasure to have you in here.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
And I look forward to pads tonight.
Awesome.
Until next time.
Until next time. Don't make me wait too long, man. I love the vibes. I miss it already.